1.3.
Okay, gentlemen, you both receive your instructions in your dressing room. Okay, right here is good. Right here is good. I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Above all, protect yourselves at all times. Let's go.
We invite you to go to espn.hearmecheer.com to have your voice heard during this main event. espn.hearmecheer.com to participate live in our broadcast. A fight that Jose Zepeda, when asked how he saw it playing out, he said, "I see it as a chess match for the first 3 rounds, but I don't think this cat can hurt me, and I won't let him breathe until the end." We'll see if it goes that way.
Yeah, I don't mind Zepeda coming behind the jab and establishing his rhythm and his range and all of those different things like he mentioned. But I don't think he gives Castaneda that kind of respect. Castaneda has not fought a fighter of the caliber of Zepeda, and Zepeda has to let him know early that he's in a different category, in a different league right now. This is the best fighter Castaneda's fought.
Already placed a 1-2 and then lands another left hand from that southpaw stance.
And you don't just have to show that fighter he's facing the best competition he's faced by throwing power punches. You can show him by the speed of the fight, the jabs and the angles and just everything that you bring to the table. And Zepeda brings a lot to the table tonight.
He's sticking.
Right there, you see Castaneda switching southpaw, getting out of right-handed stance. I guess he didn't like what was going on. He was getting hit quite a bit in the orthodox stance, and let's see if this brings any success for him this round.
Come over.
Castaneda just suffered the first loss of his career. That was his last fight, February 29th in Florida. It was a majority decision loss against Yomar Alamo.
Good work, Sean. Good work.
I just love how sharp Zepeda is tonight. He's sharp with his jab. He's real keen and sharp with his movement. You know, not moving a whole lot, standing his ground.
Jabs, move to your left.
And just looking for openings, man. And he's landing a few shots on Castaneda already.
Pretty heavy shots too.
Thudding shots. Like that there.
Well, we asked him to
fighters retired. He has to learn to dig deep into that deep reserve to find what he needs to face those kind of moments and to overcome if he's gonna get another title shot and hopefully win.
No offense, fellas. I was there sitting ringside, called that fight. I've told it to Ramirez. I said it to his face that I thought he lost the fight, and I'm still gonna say it today. I thought Zepeda outboxed him and won that fight, that championship fight.
One judge had it a draw, Timmy, 114, 114. The other two went Ramirez's way, 116, 112, and 115, 113.
Right. I felt he did enough early, and then late, I felt that he came on in spots in late to be able to pick off and actually win that fight.
Yeah, but if you don't get the decision and you're Jose Zepeda, that doesn't help you. You have to figure out, why didn't I get the nod? And I know he was in Ramirez's hometown, but there were things in that fight, late in the fight, like Joe mentioned, that he could have done better to potentially take it out of the judges' hands where they couldn't have, sided against him.
And his brother Rene, who's also his trainer, one of the points of emphasis that they've been working on is simply body language, simply giving the judges the look that you're winning rounds, that you're being the aggressor, that you're in control.
That is an art in and of itself.
You know, still with 35 fights, I feel that Zepeda's still trying to find an identity. You know, he's telling us in a fighter meeting that, you know, he went to several camps, including my camp, and he just said, I just saw you guys worked extremely hard. I just go there and spar and then do any work afterwards. He said, you know, that's what I feel that I was missing, and that's what my brother brings. He's bringing me, you know, he's giving me more conditioning. And with more conditioning and harder work, he says, I have more confidence in myself. And I have to say that I agree with him. The harder you work, the more confident you should be in your ability.
No, he was with Robert Alcazar, and then he was with Freddie for a while. Freddie Roach was the trainer when he had the title shot against Ramirez. They're making a long drive to get back and forth from wild card. Now he has settled in to work with his brother Rene. They have a dynamic relationship, and they feel it's going to lead them back to a title shot and a championship.
There you go, son. Keep that jab up.
One thing he said in the fighter meeting, another thing he said in the fighter meeting test was the fact that one of the things that Freddie Roach wanted him to do in that fight was to press forward against Ramirez. And he felt that he should have boxed instead of pressing forward. So I think that has a lot to do with his brother being in his corner as well.
From after that brutal co-feature we saw.
Andy Vences, according to attending physicians, has been cleared for the inflammation on the left side of his face. He will not be transported to the hospital. What you see there is him on a gurney being sutured on site. So he will be here later on today, and fortunately, it's nothing more serious than that.
Well, that's good news to hear. He was hurt in that 6th round, then had the clash of heads with the left eye opening up in the 7th round, opened up worse later in the fight. Lopez himself, who pulled off the split decision upset win, also had a bad cut that opened up in the 5th round. This is round number 3 of our main event. Jose Zepeda against Kendo El Tremendo Castaneda.
Castaneda is not going to win a boxing match against Zepeda. Castaneda needs to get in there and make it rough and dirty. He needs to get Zepeda out of his element and not let him have control like he's having right now.
I'm going to go back to Andy Vences for just a second. You know, that picture, you see the legs of Andy Vences on that gurney getting stitched up. When you've gone through that several times throughout your career, you've been in an emergency room post-fight, and you start to look around and you realize that there's no media, there's no fans there. And then you recover and you get better and you come back, and then you hear people pushing you and prodding you to fight a certain way, but you're being taught to do it a different kind of way. You learn to be stubborn about using your gifts the right way to benefit you, because at the end of it all, after every fight, and once you fight your last round, you're going home with just you and your family, and whatever you are, they have to deal with that, no one else.
Perspective to hear from you, Dre.
To your point, Tim, Castaneda, he's very zealous, but not according to knowledge. He's not a well-schooled fighter, but a tough fighter. And I really think Zepeda has to continue to push the issues and let Castaneda know that everything you heard about me, my skill set, my experience, it was true.
Switching lefty to righty now. Back orthodox. He just ate a left hand and a right hook moments ago.
Then you see that nice little veteran move right there for Zepeda, how he spins around to his right and clears himself.
Key for Zepeda is right there to the body. He's landed beautiful straight lefts to the gut of Castaneda. Castaneda has no answers, and now Zepeda's starting to bring those shots around the guard. He needs to stay downstairs and not go away from that. That is the answer for Zepeda.
Jose Zepeda landed 14 of 31 power punches thrown in that 3rd round. Down the stretch, that final minute, he was on fire against Zepeda, against Castaneda. Mark Kriegel, what do you see?
Well, you guys referenced Zepeda's identity before. He's a curious creature of contradictions. He's a boxer, but he's got 25 KOs. He's got a great natural sense of distance. But as far as his identity, when most of you guys are forming your identity as a fighter, when you find out who you are, really, it's in the amateurs or the late amateurs. He only had 17 amateur fights. That's when your identity is formed. I think he learned on the job. And what you're seeing here, he's still learning.
31
I
years
disagree,
old
Mark.
now, 31
I
wins.
love you.
Keep that jab at him, Sean.
I love you, Mark, but I gotta disagree with you on this one, baby. 35 professional fights, 17, as an amateur, 17 fights. Nobody cares about that. You know, you get your identity by working hard in the gym, all right, and going through some things. This young man has been through some things now, and now he should be formulating his own identity. And you need you need to be writing things down. You gotta understand what type of food that makes you tick, what type of workouts that make you tick, what type of running that makes you tick. You know, add swimming, do different things. Write it down, jot down how you feel, so that way you can get ready for your fights. Be wasting time.
There you go, Sean.
Boy, he's finding a home for some of these body punches, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
I happen to agree with Kriegel and Tim. But once you've done all of that, had an amateur career, not had one, trained, swam, sparred, all of that stuff, you have to believe in the work you put in and in who you are. And this is the time right now for Zepeda, just like it is in every one of his fights. He sort of, and he told us this in the fighter meeting, that, hey, sometimes I'm trying to survive, I want to make sure I can go the rounds. He has to compartmentalize that worry and that concern. You deal with that in training. When the fight comes, you go.
Great distance, Sean. Great distance.
We all have doubts. Even if you don't box, you got some doubts in something in your work that you do. But you know, those are ones that work extremely hard, man. I worked extremely hard in the gym. Zepeda working his butt off in the gym, and I'm sure you know that you did, Dre, as well. You have to believe in your work. You have to believe in your ability. And anything that comes in your mind, you got to get rid of that. You can't let it take over. Zepeda just got to understand that, hey, I've been 12 hard rounds with the best fighter in the world. I can go 12 rounds with anybody.
10 seconds, Sean, to the sun.
End of 4 here in our main event. Zepeda in control. Start of round number 5. In that 4th round, Jose Zepeda landed 8 body shots. And you can start to see those numbers add up as we move along here in this main event against Castaneda. See, overall, he's landed 23 to this point, landing 36% of his body punches.
Keep that jab in his face. Cannot come in on that jab.
I remember when I was fighting, I didn't pay attention to what round it was. I had no clue. My trainer had to remind me what round. If I had to ask, I was so focused and so dialed into the fight, I had no clue what round it is. Sometimes I would think I would get hit so hard that, you know, sometimes I would think I was in round 2, but I was in round 10. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Don't admit that, Timmy. Don't admit
but
that.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying, man, you know, the way you take these fights is you take it minute by minute, second by second, round by round. Hey, the next best round, the next best round, and you go until they say the fight is over. That's how you think about these matches. Not like, oh, do I got enough? It's a 6th round. I don't know if I got enough in the tank. That's not how you need to take these fights. You shouldn't think like that.
Bernardo, what are they saying in the corner of Kendo Castaneda?
Joe Rodriguez was very honest with me. He said, look, I have the fight 3-1 in favor of Zepeda so far, so we need to start picking it up here. He's catching Kendo with very good shots to the body, so I told Kendo he's got to start blocking him or he's got to start parrying and moving, so we'll see if he's able to do that.
Right there, he's moving forward, throwing punches and bunches.
That's exactly what Castaneda needs to do. He needs to attack. He needs to attack, and he needs to attack. He needs to have Zepeda questioning himself. Question his endurance. Don't let him breathe.
Keep that jab out. When he's staring, keep that jab. Boom.
Especially, Tim, when that's on the scouting report. If you've done any kind of homework, and you're on Team Castaneda, and I know they've gotten this fight a week ago, but they should have done a crash course on Jose Zepeda if they weren't following before, and they should realize that this is a thing for him, and they need to, once again, check the temperature to see if he's gotten any better or if he's still the same guy.
There it is. Good defense. Get a little more in the angle. Right there. Hey,
From one bubble to another when it comes to what's coming up on SportsCenter with Kevin Connors and Captain Midnight Kenny Mayne, because we'll give you the latest from the NBA bubble. MLS is getting ready to restart, and Masvidal's talking UFC 251 in the main event that everybody's excited for. That is Kevin Connors and Kenny Mayne. Hardway's going to be working when it's SportsCenter coming up after this main event.
there it is. The job's looking beautiful.
Good shot right there from Zepeda. Got to keep that going. He went away from it the last couple rounds.
Look for it, look for it. There you go, Tone. Work that job, baby. That job all day.
Joe, this is where good coaching comes into play. I can remember times in sparring and in fights where I'm fighting down to the level of competition, and it took my godfather and coach Virgil to say, listen, this guy is not on your level. This is what you need to do. Let's get him out of there and go home. And it sparks a thought. It casts vision for you, and you go out there and you try to execute. That's what Zepeda's team needs to tell him right now. We're talking about getting another title shot or dealing with any of the fighters in the top 10 at 140. We got to deal with Kendo Castaneda.
See, and that's a great example, Dre, of what marries up to what you've been talking about in our entire lead up to this fight. You have to believe and understand exactly what you are. That last piece you described the other day as that one missing gear for him.
Yeah, he's got the skill, he's got the heart, everything I named, you know, before this fight started, but this is the gear. Where's the mental toughness to recognize, number one, that Castaneda is not on your level, even though he's a solid fighter, don't want to take anything from him, but he's not on your level, and you have to show that, you have to prove that, you have to confirm that. And what better stage than this right here tonight?
No. Don't do that.
Castaneda, 26-year-old from San Antonio. We mentioned that he works as a package handler at FedEx. Been doing that for 5 years now. He works at the facility. You remember back in 2018, there was the serial bomber down there in the Austin, San Antonio area. He worked at that facility where an attack took place, and he showed up at work. That attack was after midnight. He showed up right after that. He was there that night when that happened. Jose Zepeda had that big win against Pedraza last September, and then, of course, COVID-19 quarantine. So Dre's coming off a career-long 297-day layoff, but there's a lot to like.
Yeah, Zepeda has been doing what he does well, which is box. See a little flick jab right there. He's backing Castaneda into the corner. But why are you going away from Castaneda as if he's bringing that kind of pop or that kind of power? You get out of the way if you're a good boxer like that. You go straight back to him. Castaneda has not done anything in this fight, in my opinion, to deserve that kind of respect. Good boxing from Zepeda, but to whom much is given, much is required. He's got to step it up.
His brother is his trainer. Bernardo, what is he saying?
Rene Zepeda told me, look, we've got the experience, so I told my brother, don't let him get any momentum. Use that jab. He's not on your level, but he's hungry, and that makes him dangerous. Don't let him get any confidence.
Good defense, great defense.
I like part of those instructions, Joe. I see nothing wrong with Team Zepeda telling him that he needs to be alert and You know, all of those things. Don't let him back in the fight. I think that's sound advice. But the back end of that, we got to remove the fear aspect of it. Zepeda needs to be told, you're dangerous, you're the man, and we're working on another world title. Go out there, take care of business, and get this guy out of there. That's the kind of verbiage, that's the kind of energy he needs to feel in that corner.
Let's go. 2-3-2.
We're not just trying to survive, we're trying to take over. It's a different mindset.
That's on the belt.
Heard the complaint of a possible low blow, and then Tony Weeks saying it's on the belt.
Because here's the thing, Joe, I'll make one more point about the instructions of Rene Zepeda. Your fighter can feel you. If you're concerned, they feel that. If you're worried, they feel that. If you're confident, they feel that as well.
He can't fight going backwards, Sean. There you go. Keep him right there. Keep picking him up.
Here Renee's saying
This is exactly what Castaneda needs to do. It's exactly what Castaneda needs to do. He needs to continue to put the pressure on Zepeda. Make him think twice and land shots like that to the body to break down Zepeda.
Well, let him go. Stop.
It's a good round for Castaneda.
round number 8 of our scheduled 10-round main event. Jose Zepeda trying to maintain his status among the elite junior welterweights in the world. His brother Rene, his trainer, just said, hey, when you're throwing your combinations, he can't hang with you, but you need to be calculated and you need to have rhythm.
You know, Castaneda is the type of guy, I mean, he wants to mentally and physically break you. You know, he tries to bring a pace that's uncomfortable, and he stays in your face the whole time. See how he's just walking down Zepeda. I mean, he tries to make, fighters panic. You know, and we do, and then, you eventually start throwing get-off-me punches. That's what he's trying to do to Zepeda. He's trying to get him to throw good off-me punches and make mistakes while pushing him back.
Andre has it 5 rounds to 2. Of course, the concern would be Castaneda winning the last 2 rounds. You know, we keep talking so much about the Ramirez fight, the title opportunity he had. And if there's any correction, now he comes back, he gets the big Pedraza win. But if there's anything you want to do against a guy that you can really handle, and you've got the gap in talent against, is finish well down the stretch.
He can't get past the jab.
Control things on your terms as you go towards your win.
There it is, beautiful. Right hand hook. Right hand come over the hook. Measure him.
No, get off the side.
Castaneda is slowly coming on in this fight. I'm not sure if this was the plan, but his body language has changed. He's more aggressive. He's landing shots. And right now, Zepeda doesn't really have an answer.
Let him in.
He's in his head mentally, Dre. He's making him think, do I have enough? Do I have enough? Do I have enough wins to continue to fight?
Keep throwing those combos, son. He can't stop you. There you go.
Good counters right there from Zepeda. Every time Zepeda let his hands go, he lands. Honestly, he just needs to do more of it. He has to believe that he has enough conditioning. Just let him go.
Bring him back. He can't fight backwards. One hand to the body. And then make the miss. All day. Come back. Great, good work.
Zepeda slowly coming on right now.
He's not on your level, baby.
Same combination, too. Right to the body, left hand upstairs. Right jab.
Castaneda answers with his own body shot.
He did. And then the uppercut he shot with the left hand.
Rhythm. Vamos.
Come on, baby.
Ooh, good body work right there from Castaneda.
Good exchanges here at the end of round 8. Number 6 junior welterweight in the world, Jose Zepeda, enjoying a 123-78 connect advantage as we start round number 9.
He can't get past that jab. That jab, that jab. 1, 2.
Personally, I think that Zepeda's fighting a textbook fight right now. In my opinion, he is.
Yeah.
You know, he has a guy that's trying to press him,
Let
trying to be physical, trying to break him down mentally. He's keeping his composure. He's landing hard counters like that, keeping his distance at time. He's stepping inside in moments and bang down to the body. I think he's fighting a textbook fight right now against Castaneda.
Good job. There it is. He's not on your level. When you throw combos, he can't stop you. He cannot stop
You know, I made a comment earlier about to whom much is given, much is required if you're Jose Zepeda. And what I meant by that is if you're going to be mentioned in the same breath as the champions in the division, if you're going to be mentioned in the same breath as the top contenders, as a guy who could potentially beat those guys, that comes with a weight and a burden that you got to learn to carry. That means that you got to show up in the big moments, but then you also have to dominate the fights that you're supposed to win, and I believe that this is a fight he's supposed to win tonight.
Certain disposition in the first minute of this 9th round that you have to appreciate out of Zepeda. Some loose tape around the right glove of Castaneda, and Tony Weeks quick to see that.
Take your gloves off if you need to.
Remember, Sports Center is coming up with Kevin Connors and Kenny Mayne. An interview with Masvidal getting set for the UFC main event will be on Sports Center.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
End it on the drive.
Right there.
End it on the drive. End it on the drive.
Okay, here we go. Time in. Let's go.
Let's go, Tron. Rhythm, right where you left off, baby. Keep that jab out. He can't get past that jab. One hand hook. There you go, come back. There you go. Measure him with that jab. Come back on the hook.
You know, southpaws are just very difficult to deal with, you being an orthodox fighter, man. It's just so easy for them. See, they can pop their jab like that. It's so difficult for an orthodox fighter to land their jab against a southpaw because of the angle.
He cannot, he's not on your level.
It's because of the angle.
He's touching with that jab. Combination. There you go, Tron. He wants to hit, let him hit Eric.
Good body work right there. Nice step around by Zepeda. Boxing beautifully. Boxing that on his own terms and will.
Keep that jab out. He wants to come in, keep that jab. Bop. There it is. Keep the rhythm. Rhythm, baby. Defense. There it is.
Come on, Dave. Keep him up now.
Let's go.
Stop, 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 stop. No, 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 no. A little bit. Stand up. Here we go. Keep it clean.
Touching him with that right hand to the body again.
There it is. Oh, let's go. Another low blow.
Ha!
Jose Zepeda, the two-time world title challenger, who is trying to position himself for another chance at a 140-pound title opportunity. Remember last week we saw Jose Pedraza. He looked very, very good in his win. That came against Mick LePierre. And it was Zepeda who handled him 97-93 on all three scorecards when they fought on the Tyson Fury Otto Wallin undercard last September. And now he's looking to get the 32nd win of his career, 10th and final round right here against Kendo Castaneda.
Would really like to see Jose Zepeda finish strong in this last round and not coast. Some may say that's dangerous. Well, the sport of boxing is dangerous. Every round is dangerous. Once again, if you want to be mentioned with the best at 140, you got to put on a show and send a message to the rest of the division. And closing this out, I think we'll do that at least somewhat.
Let's check in with Bernardo ringside.
Rene Zepeda told Sean, look, I need you to get busy and dig deep. Show him who you are. So he's really thinking the same way that Dre is.
Come on, keep him up, baby. Keep him up.
3 low blows right there from Castaneda.
Away from the ref.
I don't think that was unintentional.
Get the tape ready over here.
Remember, Tim, Castaneda said, I want to take this fight. I know it's short notice, but this is the guy I want, the big opportunity. I said, let's go, shoot for the stars, where if you're going to have that attitude, you got a minute to go for it here.
Stop. Let him go.
He should have went for it a long time ago, Tess. I mean, he's been walking him down, trying to break Zepeda, but Zepeda, you know, held it together, kept his composure, and boxed smart. But he needs to let his hands go. He's getting in punching range, but he's not letting his hands go enough.
Good body. Great body.
Instead, it's more of that. Crosses the threshold, Zepeda lands a combination.
But that's what you need to do. And when you have a guy as slippery as a guy like Zepeda that's you know, moves very well on his feet, you got to go down to the body. The body's there to be hit. Forget about the head. Slow those legs down.
There it is. Great defense, son. Great defense. Great defense.
Stop. Let him go.
Finish it strong.
The cut right there calls. Cut caused by butt.
It reaches up.
Zepeda controlled this fight from the opening bell, landing nice, crisp counter punchers like that. Straight left hand was definitely a factor in this fight. You know, Castaneda, he said he was gonna come to fight, but it didn't seem like it. He walked forward, got into range, but didn't let his hands go enough. You know, he let Zepeda escape most of the night. He fought back in spots, but it just wasn't enough. You know, the supreme skills of Zepeda came into effect late. He continued to pour it on Castaneda to the head and also to the body, controlling range for most part of this fight, and fought when he wanted to fight. I thought it was a great performance. I know we probably wanted to see a little bit more, but I'm okay with the performance from Zepeda. Great win.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds here inside the MGM Grand, we go to the judges' scorecards for the official decision. Patricia Morris-Jarman has the bout 97-93. Tim Cheatham and Dave Moretti have the bout 98-92, all in favor of your winner by unanimous decision, Jose John Zepeda.
Easy one to read, wasn't it? A unanimous decision win for Jose Zepeda, 32nd win of his career.